Hey guys, Matt Richard here. Another episode of our Guitar 101 series, and we are in the modes right now. And if you've been following along, we've been doing sort of one mode per lesson. And if you're just tuning in, I've covered the modes Major, Dorian, and Phrygian so far. We also, in the earlier lessons, covered some foundational and theory stuff. So if you're just kind of finding these on YouTube and haven't seen the rest of the series, you can go back on my YouTube channel and watch them. Or I've also got the blog there, and the link is always underneath the video in the comments on Facebook and YouTube. That has all of the other lessons there to catch us up to this point. So, if you're caught up and you're ready to get into mode number 4, it is Lydian. For those of you who might know me personally, especially on Facebook, you might know that my daughter's name is Lydian, so this one has a little bit of importance to me. That is not a coincidence. Lydian is the 4th mode, so up to this point, we've always done everything in C. So we've got C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, wrote out our C major scale using our formula. Lydian is the 4th mode, so C, D, E, F. So F is the 4th degree of C major. So to get Lydian, we know we just have to play the C major scale, but starting on the 4th degree, which would be F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F. Sounds pretty simple. We also know from we learned what chord goes over what degree. 1 is major, 2 is minor, 3 is minor, 4 is major. So we're going to play that over an F major chord. So let's get right into it. First of all, I'm going to play, as I always do, I'm going to play C major first. I think it's very important anytime you're doing this, and I always harp on the fact that you should have something to play these against. But I think it also helps set up the tonality of the mode, because if you just come out of the gate playing one of these, it sounds great, and it still has the same tonality, but I don't think it has the same effect. It also works compositionally. If you just came out of the gate, say, playing Lydian, it sounds very cool and dramatic. But to me, it's even more dramatic if you set it up with, say a major chord or some other, even if it's a minor tonality. When you make that shift to like the 4 chord, it's a punch in the face. And it's something film composers use a lot. Quite a few guitarists too. Steve Vai, if you didn't notice, I'm throwing a little tribute today. Steve Vai is definitely where I discovered the Lydian mode. And so that's why I broke out the old school flower gem that I've had for a number of years. It's one of the few I will not part with. Old favorite, as well as the, maybe noticed the Steve Vai shirt. So I'm all Steve Va'd out today for the Lydian mode. So we're going to try and do the mode a little justice. So as I said, let's set up this lesson, and let's play major first. Go ahead and get our C major scale dialed up. I've got a little slow sort of ballady thing going on, and we'll just play some C major. Cool, C major. We know what it sounds like. We've played it every lesson up until now, pretty much. So let's now do our little magical shift, and we are going to just take our chord, and I'm going to go shift to an F major chord instead of a C major chord, and we're going to play the same notes. I'll try even play some of the same types of lines. And this to me, this is one of the more profound sounding modes. It's got a very, very distinct sound. If you are a Steve Vai or Joe Satriani fan, Satch was the other guy that I heard do this. Flying in a Blue Dream, if you're familiar with that, that's one of my favorite records of his from a number of years ago, and there's some just blatant Lydian on that record, and it is just gorgeous. So let's jump in. F major chord, C major scale on top of it. Let's see what it sounds like. again, to me, did not sound anything like the major thing we played before. Now, the really cool thing I think about Lydian is we always talk about what's like sort of the secondary way to play the mode, rather than just thinking in terms of this, like, okay, it's the major scale, but it's starting on the 4. It's good to have an alternative way to get it. Let's take, for example, you wanted to play C Lydian, not C major from F. But let's say you were playing, somebody was playing a C major chord, and you wanted to build a Lydian scale from C. How would you do that? Well, it's actually pretty cool. Again, we always go back to our little, remember we know our major scale, that's movable. We learned this pattern way back in the day. Which is that whole half pattern that we learned way back in lesson 1. We know how to build a major scale from any note on the guitar. So let's go way down here to the first position. Let's say we wanted to play C, right? It's actually the 3rd position, C note. We know to build a major scale, it's this, right? That's C major. Well, how do we get Lydian out of that? It's freaking easy. We just sharp the 4. It's the only note that changes. All that coolness that happens when we make that shift to Lydian and we go from sort of that happy-go-lucky major to the more of a almost mystical sounding Lydian is just the 4 being raised. Let's test it out and see. Let's play the major scale. Now I'm just going to raise the 4th degree. 1, 2, 3. This was normally the 4. I'm going to raise it up. And all of a sudden, I think you can hear like that is where Lydian comes from. It's what makes Lydian Lydian. It's that sharp 4, or if you're familiar with the flat 5 terminology, it's the devil's tritone, as they call it. It's that flat 5. Same thing. Sharp 4, flat 5 are the same thing. Remember, a sharp means to raise a note a half step. A flat means to lower a half step. So you have a sharp 4 and a flat 5. We're talking about the same move. So we sharp the 4. And that makes C Lydian. So we can build a Lydian scale anywhere on the guitar. If somebody said, oh, why don't you play B flat Lydian? And you're like, I don't know a B flat Lydian scale. Yes, you do, because you know a major scale. You just build a major scale and lower the 4th degree. I don't think I've ever sat down and said, I'm going to play B flat Lydian today. And I know it because I know these little formulas, and that's why this stuff's so important. Both of these are great to work on them in and of themselves until you have them and you can use them interchangeably. You've got 2 ways to approach the modes now. You've got your sort of relative major idea, where we just play the major scale but starting on a different degree. And so as long as that chord's happening, C major is just C major until the band plays an F major chord, and all of a sudden, we're playing Lydian now because we're playing over the 4 chord, but we're playing the major scale. We're playing F to F. So very, very cool. So we got 2 approaches for Lydian. F to F, or we just sharp the 4 of the major scale. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. This is, you can probably tell, I got all dressed up for the occasion. This is one of my favorite modes. I think it's very cool. It's very effective. Again, even more so if you're composing something or you're writing a song and you want to include a piece of Lydian in your solo. A whole Lydian solo is fantastic. I'm going to like it. Steve Vai probably likes it. But if you want a little more impact, try some different chords in front of it. All these chords, as we know from way back, we learned, are diatonic to C major. So C major, D minor, E minor, and so forth. Try playing like, maybe take in the 6, an A minor chord. Go to that F, it's going to have that much more impact. I said, it's still Lydian, it's still awesome, but shifting the audience's ear for a little bit can have a really, really cool effect. on the music itself and on what they get out of the music, because it's it's sort of an emotional jerk, just like anything. Changing things on the listener can take them down a different path, so to speak. So anyway, all right. So I hope you guys got some value out of this. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, if there's anything that's maybe a little not clear here, go back to the beginning of the lesson series in the blog and the videos where we go over the various formulas that we're using here. I'm not going to cover all that stuff over and over again because it's all there for you. You can start from the beginning and work your way up to this. If you have any questions, comments, make sure you leave them for me on the video, on the blog. We're going to continue working through the modes, so join me in the next series and we will get to mode number 5, which is actually, for me, as far as if I'm picking favorite modes, it's very, very close to, if not maybe a tie for second place for Lydian. So again, my name is Matt Richard. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you next time. Later.